So before we went, I was trying to decide on a deck, right? And I had it down to a couple. I was like, I can do branded, like branded Bestial. I thought was really, really good. I had Kashtira. I had Mathmech. I had Flu. I had Pure Runic. And from the get, I was like, I don't want to play Kashtira. I hate playing the best deck in the room. It's just not particularly fun for me for a number of reasons. Like, you are losing a shitload of games to players who are much worse than you because the outs to this deck are so unbelievably everywhere. I knew I wouldn't have time to get good at Branded Bestial, which I now am going to try and get good at, I think. So that cut me down to like Mathmech or Post-Nerf Flu or Runic, and I was like, you know what, actually I'll just play Mathmech. And here's the concept. So Mathmech, I think, was probably the best deck at this event, provided that the Kashtira players started playing the Ibli line, and the branded players, scared of how badly that deck loses to the Ibli line, just audibled onto Kashtira, and then also played the Ibli line. That was the only scenario in which Mathmech was the best deck. Sadly, that did not happen. But we put me in the A slot so that ideally I would hit a lot of Kashtira, and I did. I hit Kashtira most of the day. It was pretty much all Kashtira. And I did well. That deck has a really good Kashtira matchup. I lost every game 1, and then I just clapped him on games 2 and 3 because that deck is not particularly good. I did lose 2 games to Kashtira, but we'll get into those. Don't worry. The problem was we didn't really know what everyone else wanted to play. Alex was in weird headspace. He was like, yeah, I don't know. You know, he was like, I want to play a deck that will shore up my weaknesses, which that I don't know what any deck does. And we eventually settled on Labyrinth, and he ended up playing a pretty competent Labyrinth list, and he was not bad at it. He was pretty good. Our trap lineup could have been a little better, I think, but none of us knew the format as thoroughly as we wanted to, I don't think. And then Gage, oh boy. So Gage moved on his deck maybe like 12 times. Like, basically any time he saw a Twitter post with a new format deck, he was like, oh, I gotta play this one. And unfortunately, right before we left, I uploaded the Gold Pride TMT. So he played Gold Pride Punk. And now I know what you're thinking. What the fuck? But I don't know. We were in it to have fun, so we were like, whatever, Gage. You can play what you want. It's not a big deal. So we roll up. We're practicing. Gage, by the way, practiced maybe twice. You know, we played a couple of games, and he was like, okay, I think I figured this out. And so we were like, whatever. So I fly into this thing at like 8 a.m. on a Friday. I get there because the plane left at like 6, but the way the time zones work out, I come in like an hour later. So I'm in the airport with RJ and Phil, and we're all just like, Phil is Ruxin, with RJ and Ruxin. We're all just like chilling. And it was all right. We were like, where is everybody? And Alex is like, don't worry, I'm going to come pick you up. Then Gage gets in a couple of hours later, so we're going to go pick him up. So he picks us up. We go to eat lunch. We get a text from Gage, and he goes, I'm taking a shit. And we're like, huh? And he goes, oh man, I gotta take a Whopper here at the airport. And we're like, okay, can you tell us when you're done? He goes, don't worry, dude, I'm about to Duke. The Duke is on the move. And we were like, all right, we're just gonna say that all weekend then. It was the Duke is on the move. It's unbelievable. I can't believe words that came out of his mouth. But after we went and got him, we went to Omega Mart. I really wanted to go to Omega Mart, and everyone was on board, so we did go. It was fun. If you all aren't familiar with Omega Mart, it's like it's a grocery store, but it's also like an art exhibition, and it's like an exploratory place. It's really cool. It's interesting. I bought a bunch of overpriced crap, but I will say it was just a little disappointing. They had like an associated ARG, right? And it was a little disappointing, I will say. It was like I was expecting it to be harder. It was a little too easy. And the payoff was not fantastic. Game Theory Supermarket, it really was kind of like that. The ARG is like 10 years old now. I imagine it just doesn't work anymore. Yeah, it works, but there's just a lot of... I don't want to spoil too much in case anyone goes, but there's a lot of pieces that just feel incomplete. It's mostly like you run around one or two places and you never really pick up the whole story. And they've spent a ton of time filling in cracks on like the lore or whatever. And you can really easily just get lost reading the lore. And it's like, no, dude, like this is unimportant for your completion of the story, and holds up a line of people trying to do the same thing. But it was fun anyway. I did like it. I had a good time. There were a lot of really cool locations there. It was neat. The actors weren't very good. I hate to be like that, but the people who were acting in the ARG were not very good. Let's there was like a video component. But there was a lot of fun stuff to do. Then after that, we went to... It was better years ago. What could have changed? Did they not source local theater kids? I think they probably did, is what happened. Wait, how long has this place been around? It's only been around like 3 years. But it felt like they were attempting... They were going to add on to it at some point, and they just never did. There's another one? There's 2 of them? There's 8 years? What the fuck? The Vegas one is 2 years old. There's a second one? There's one in Santa Fe. What the fuck? I'm looking this up. The original immersive art adventure. Fucking shit. This is completely different. Wow. Oh. No, so Omega Mart is the one in Las Vegas. But the one in Santa Fe is the House of Eternal Return. Okay. Same concept, basically. Anyway, so we went there. It was fun. And then we went out to eat a couple places. So the night one, we're just like, we're sitting around, we're planning our run and stuff. And then Keegan of E3 Yu-Gi-Oh! We were all out to eat, and Keegan was like, yo, y'all want to walk on a mountain? And I was like, Keegan, it's like 5:30. He was like, yeah. And I said, yeah, I would. So so we got on, me and Chaotic Meatball and Danny and RJ all went and walked on a mountain in the fucking pitch black, and it was a blast. And then Keegan was like, do y'all want to go out partying? And I was like, okay, that's where I have to call it, sadly. I'm not cool enough. But all weekend, Keegan was like, let's go do stuff. Let's go have fun. I was like, I just need to sleep. Keegan was great. He's a huge asset to any group. Here's me and Ruxin at Omega Mart. Here is... he's the best kind of YCS person. Oh, you'd like him. You'd like him a lot. Because he was like, let's go to this club. It's called Flunge, you know. What's going on, guys? Simo here, and today we're making Gage shit. Okay, so there's Gage shitting.
That's why you're a legend.
Then we went to his house. Here's Ruxin. No one commented on the penis. Jonesy042, thank you for the 7. Everyone was like, oh, Ruxin's great. No one commented on the wiener in this one. But, you know, whatever. So we go to bed early. Day 2, we go to the event. The event, of course, is a disaster immediately. So the night before the event, we have to go sign up, right? We have to register. You probably heard this if you were on Farfa stream already. But we went to go register, and we had already registered online. What we needed was a bracelet that said we're COVID compliant. So we went to the hall that it was in. We stood in a line, and then we realized the line wasn't moving. And we were like, why is the line not moving? What's going on? Well, turns out we were not in a line for anything. We had just naturally created a line in what was a crowded room. It was a completely fake line. And eventually, some people showed up and were like, okay, we'll do COVID compliance stuff. And we got through in like 10 minutes, but they just opened it like 2 hours late. So we were just chilling. Me and Ruxin, we played a lot of Edison. I love playing against Lightsworn. That is always just a treat in Edison. It's just a very feast or famine deck. We were having a great time. Got to say hi to a lot of people. Raph Nevin. I didn't get to see Vlad. I saw Doug, and we'd planned to film something for Roulette, but we just didn't get a chance to meet up because of how the tournament shook out, which I feel really bad about. How do you prove compliance? You show them your Vax card. But it was fine. So we go to home, and we come back the next day, and thankfully there's no line because all we needed was the bracelet. So we go to the event. Round 1, we sit down, and I win my match, and Gage and Alex don't. We're 0-1, and we're like, if we lose this next one, we'll just fucking go home. You know, fuck it. We can go hang out in Las Vegas. It'll be nice. And then we won the next 3, and we were like, uh-oh. We're going to have to actually sit this one out. Because, thank God, it was 7 rounds day 1, which, by the way, is just fantastic. But it was 7 rounds day 1, and it was like, oh, you just have to go 4, 2, and 1 to clear. That's so simple. That's, like, very doable. So, round 5 rolls around. We play against someone else, and that's actually good. And they clean our clocks. I play, like, garbage. Like, it's against Cash. Game 1, I literally just straight up miss lethal. It's in front of me, and I miss it. I'm like, how did I do that? And then we go to board. I put in all my cards. I draw my hand, and it's got a bunch of like blind second tools, and I'm like, oh fuck, I'm going first. I was like, all right. Like I'm like doing like a backup line where I'm like this Link Disciple to spin a card and like hurriedly shuffling evenly matched to the bottom of my deck. It was bleak. But it ends up okay. I do get my ass beat, but we all got our ass beat, and we were like, ugh. It's 3-2. I'm feeling like dog shit. I feel so bad. So I'm like, I'm sorry guys. We haven't eaten all day. So the reason for this is in round 2 we got the written feature. Again, you probably saw this on Farfetch stream. Let me see if I can pull it up. But Gage, here, I'll just pull up the thread of us. Here's us in round 1. Gage got the feature for round 2, but it was a written feature, which if you've never seen before, what a written feature is they pull you aside, they have a guy sit next to you and type out what happens, and then they publish it on the Konami blog. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, here we go. So I'll just scroll back real quick. But this happened during the match that was happening during lunch break. So we didn't eat. And so after round 5, I'm just like dying, and I'm like, I'm sorry. And I bolt after our game, and I run to the 7-Eleven, right? And many of you people don't have 7-Elevens, right? So 7-Eleven, if you're unfamiliar, is like the, I would say, capitalist version of an oasis, right? You know, like in nature, it's just a desert, and then every so often there's just like a big pool of water and like a tree so that camels can like fill up their humps. Well, in modern society, a 7-Eleven is like that, but it's like it subdivides this big hills of concrete so that big fat Americans can fill their stomachs with Red Bull. So that's what I did. And I bolted like 4 blocks to get to this 7-Eleven in a very bad part. Like the part around the convention center was not good, but I'm like walking in, and there's like people there that are like tweaking at like 3 p.m. And I'm like, come on, it's not even 5. Come on, man. But I get a Red Bull, and I get these meat tubes. So if you're unfamiliar with these 7-Eleven meat tubes, here's the theory. So you've probably seen these at like a gas station. It's called a hot dog roller. It's like this big silver thing that they roll hot dogs on all day to keep them warm, right? Well, 7-Eleven figured out that you can put a second thing on the hot dog roller. It's like a taquito, but there's no tortilla. It's like a big thin tube of processed chicken with like buffalo crumbles around it. It's insane. But it is edible, so I just was going. I was just going down on them, and so I jammed them in my mouth, and I was back. I was raring to go for round 6 and 7. Here's Gage in round 2. Here we are at round 3. Here we are around 4. I do want to talk real quickly about round 4. Our opponents for this match, we had met them moments earlier because they asked for like a signature or something, and we sit down and we're like, oh great, hey, how are you again? And they roll out the Team YCS Dragons of Legend playmats, and we're like, well, we're getting fucked. Uh-oh. But they were nice. My opponent was actually playing Bird Up, and I gotta tell you, I think my opponent was like not super practiced in like Math Mech or whatever, which makes sense. It's like not super meta, but yeah, they were good at their deck. And I mean, I really think, why are we not considering Bird Up? I feel like Bird Up is a fine deck. Like, it's got everything again. The only thing it's missing is Simorg, but you just play Tri stuff. It seemed nice. But you know, it does lose to Lava Golem, which is bad. Surely we just Tri-Brigade FTK instead, I guess. Anyway, so this is me after I needed food. And then this is me after the meat tubes. So we 3-0'd the next people, and then the next people, I got a written feature again. And this time it was me because my opponent was like, I didn't know who my opponent was, right? Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, I had no idea who my opponent was. Johnny Lee. And then, like, I didn't recognize him because the mask and everything. And then halfway through the game, I'm like, oh, what? He like, made a comment that was like, oh, I wrote the 3v3 guidelines that Konami uses. And I was like, what the fuck? I'm across the table from fucking George Washington? And I said that. That didn't make it in, thank God. But it was crazy. It was unbelievable. But I got a written feature. I'm so happy about this written feature. I've always wanted my picture forever immortalized on Konami's website, and here it is. Just be going like, with access code on field and update jammer engrave. They put in the quote, the problem is that the deck is just too good, you know? But the cowards omitted it. No, I was so annoying during this match. I said so many annoying ass things. But this line here, that line we practiced yesterday, yeah, it's coming up and I don't remember it. Okay, so here's what happened. In a practice game against Alex, I drew Circular plus Exceed into no interaction. And I was thinking in my head, I'm like, there's got to be a way to get Masquerena, Linguribo, Wicked Search, and Heat Soul all on the same field. So it would have to be the Wicked becomes the Heat Soul, and then we do Masquerena, Linguribo, right? And I couldn't figure it out in our practice game. So after the game, I was like, I just have to sit down and think about this. I'm sorry. And I went to go take a shower. And while I'm taking a shower, everyone's outside, and there's a video that I'm sure Ruxin will post as part of his vlog, where you can hear me in the shower go, Eureka! Because I figured it out. So it comes up in this game, and all I know about my opponent is that he's on 60 cards. And I go, oh, I could do this dumb fucking Heat Soul line, but actually what I want to do is just leave 2 material on my side of the field, end the line early, so I can make a format Appaloosa, but retain the Linguribo. The concept here is that, like, if my opponent draws Imperm, I want to be able to actually leverage this format Appaloosa. 60 cards, I'm thinking they're on Dragon Link. And I'm like, I actually don't have a ton of really good game against that. I'm going to need these negates. So I go for that line. I'm like, the one downside to this line is if the first thing they lead with is Lightning Storm or Harpy's Feather Duster, I'm fucked because I won't have the zones to Super Factorial. But I'm like, but it's 60 cards. You know, it's 60 cards. There's no way. First action, Harpy's Feather Duster. Incredible. And I'm like, oh, God, here we fucking go. And then I saw the Bystials, and I was like, oh, this is so bad for me. My deck is great, but not good against Bystials at all. And so, unfortunately, the the oh, unfortunately the God, I hate that this thing tells me when I have 250 steps left, because like, what am I gonna do about it, right? Like, oh yeah, let me just get up and walk around to meet my fucking goals. No. Anyway, so it's Bisteel, and it's when I say when I saw Bisteels, I was like, oh fuck, it might be Dragon Link. It was fucking It was Bisteel branded, but it was 60 cards. I was like, why are you playing 60 cards? And so
That's why you're a legend.
what ends up happening is he just didn't open very well, so I am able to beat him. But it's a long ass game, and it includes me doing this, which is I activate Small World revealing Sigma, and then I go, oh shit, I don't have a line for this. Like, this doesn't do anything because I've used up my Xseeds, which is usually my midpoint. I went 2 Xseeds turn 1, and I Small Worlded as well. So I'm like, fuck. I'm like, this might be an illegal activation. I'm so sorry. And then we were doing this for a second, and I go, oh no, there's a line. And the guy's like, oh yeah, and I'm like, yeah. So I go circular into the light attribute Nibiru into the 3000 attack Lava Golem. And I'm like, well, just -1 myself for nothing. But I did also have access to Signet Mining off of Thrust. Thrust, by the way, was the best card all weekend. But I go, I'll pitch it for mining. I'll go get Circular. We'll do it anyway. And then I end up winning. But game number 2, my opponent just has flat bricked functionally. Like, here, let's just go to duel 2 here. He goes normal summon Aluber, add branded Lost Fusion, and I'm like, Ash? And the guy looks at me and he goes, that is the 15th Ash I have seen today. I was like, yeah, I mean, I don't know what to tell you, dude. Like, I'm sorry. And then I just kill him on the crackback, and it's like, it is what it is. That's Yu-Gi-Oh. And then, but we still weren't done because Alex had to win his, and he did. He ended up winning, but it was close. It was Runic Naturia. But you know, Ash is back, baby. But that was really great to get a written feature. I'm super happy. I think I kind of beefed a lot of lines and played super sloppy in this game, but they did a good job writing it so it doesn't look like I did anything too ridiculous outside of that ludicrous Small World line. Sidebar, Danny came this day. Now, I know what you're thinking. What the fuck? Danny? What did he do here? Well, he didn't join a team. He was going to join the other 2 members of Gage's crew. He was going to join Dan and Josh, but they didn't go. So instead he came and he was like, you know what I want to do? I'm going to play Master Duel. He signed up for a Master Duel event as it opened, waited 5.5 hours. They didn't fire, and he got his money back. Incredible. Just wonderful. So what was going on is, I think usually, you can correct me if I'm wrong about this, usually the Master Duel event has like kiosks you can play Master Duel at. Well, they didn't have them this time. So they were like, well, just bring your fucking phone. Just bring your phone and load up Master Duel and sit across from your opponent and play on your phone. And like, obviously people didn't want to do that. Like, obviously people didn't want to do that. Like, what if you lose 5G in the middle of a big-ass convention? What if your phone battery dies? Like, what do you do? And so he got his money back. And then one fired a little bit later, and it was really funny. But I think they only fired like 3 the whole time. So he went home a little frustrated. The next day, he came back with a couple of his subscribers, and they just, like, entered like 3 or 4 of them. And they were like, fire it at 4. Like, we're playing the fucking Master Duel ones. It was very funny. But he brought, like, a laptop. He was like, I'm tryharding. But 3 of Danny's big subscribers, Chloe, Emperor Stove, and Wolt, all of whom I think are streamers in their own right, came as Team LVK Huh. And they had shirts that had the Huh emote from Danny's stream on their shirt. And Wolt was pissed. Wolt was like, I didn't want to do this. They're making me do this. They brought Danny a shirt as well, and he was like, they all thought it was very funny. But Wolt was like, I can't fucking, this is so annoying. He was like, I feel embarrassed, and they're like, come on, you know. It was very funny. But it was nice. Uh, so that's the Danny. And Emperor Stove stole my fucking adventure stuff. So then we go home at night, and I'm like, okay, I'm beat. I'm like, oh, Simo made the right call. He was like, we got to get food because he and Gage just didn't eat all day. He was like, we got to get food, but as soon as we get food, we're going to collapse because we haven't eaten all day. So we went to Cane's, we got some food, we went home, and we did. We ate and collapsed. I wake up at like 7 the next day for a 9 a.m. start time for day 2 because we made day 2. And I look at my phone, and on the Instagram story of Pac is a video of him going fucking crazy at a club at 4 in the goddamn morning. Now, Pac went undefeated day 1. So I'm like, what's the play here, buddy? and I think there's a picture on Farfa's, or maybe it's on Triff's timeline. I'm going to find it. Yeah, here it is. Look at this fucking picture. He's doing good. He's doing all right. So we meet him at the event. We're like, are you okay? He's like, yeah, we just won our 8th round. And I was like, oh? He's like, yeah, we scooped our 9th. I'm like, are you going to take a nap? He was like, yeah. And then he went to go take a nap. But it was very funny. It was extremely funny. So it all worked out. What are you linking me? That's literally me. We'll get there eventually. Don't worry. But I wake up at like 7 a.m. and I'm like getting ready, and I hear from the bathroom, I hear, and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, okay, I know Alex has, in my head I go, Alex has UC, and then I go, well, UC isn't puke, it's doo-doo shit. I'm like, well, what is going on? And then I see Alex, and he's up and about, and I'm like, how are you? He's like, I'm fine. I'm like, who is in the bathroom? He's like, it's Gage. And so we listen, and here he's like, and it sounds like he's like vomiting just like buckets, and we're like, oh my God, are we gonna have, like, do we need to take him to a hospital? And he comes out of the bathroom, and we're like, Gage, are you okay? And he's like, oh yeah, dude, I'm fine. And we're like, are you sure? Because it sounds like you were going hard. What's going on? Like, again, we're at this point, we're X2 and our breakers are pretty bad. We can sit out. It's not a big deal. I'm like, dude, we don't have to play today. Do you need like a doctor? And he was like, no, don't worry about it. And we're like, what do you mean? He was like, well, here's the deal. I was brushing my teeth, and I was going just a little too hard, bro. And I smacked my I'm like, your uvula. He's like, yep, I smacked it, and and we were like, there's just no way. He was like, yeah, I was just going too hard, man. I went too hard brushing my teeth. It was incredible. It was unbelievable. But if you've ever done that, you know that will cause you to do that. So, but we all got up. We got ready. We went. We went to the event. We sat down for our first round. We filmed this. This was fun to film. Here, hold up. We're just chilling, waiting for our round 8 opponent. We're just waiting for him. Oh no! Oh my God! Are you kidding me? Oh no! All right. It's 3v1. But it actually was much worse. We had to play Yishan McNabb's team. If you don't know Yishan, fellow Yugi tuber, but unlike most Yugi tubers, he's actually good at Yu-Gi-Oh! Known for, among other things, like Dragon Link, but Gren Maju Gaming. He was not playing Gren Maju, he was playing a real deck. But they creamed us. They fucking cleaned our clocks. This guy on the right, Simon, was my opponent. Shifted me game 1. I was like, Shifter in the main! What is this, 2022? And then he did it again game 2, and I was like, well, I lose. This guy in the middle, outplayed both Alex and me. Like, we're sitting there they were on Sprite. We're like doing like fucking, normal Labyrinth shit. And they just outplayed the fuck out of us. There's really no other word for it. We both just got clapped. We got outskilled. Gage was actually having a really close one with Yishan. They were going to go into game 3, but we let him down. I do want to say real quick, I know that a lot of people are like, Joseph, you carried. You would like 6-2 and the rest of your team was dog shit. I do want to say, first off, my individual win rate was against people who were in our same bracket. So it wasn't like they were god gamers, you know, they were like local legends. And second, it was a team effort. Like Gage specifically, the second half of the day, he fucking turned on. It was unbelievable. Like he made me think Gold Pride was good. Legitimately, I thought it was good. By the end of I was like, no, dude, I think this might be it. It was. I think he will make some changes to the deck and maybe take it to a couple more events. But I would like he really legitimately got quite good at the deck by the end of the event, and I'm excited to see if he continues playing it. We will have to see in Cynet. Yeah, we will. I think Cybernetic Horizon has the potential to make this a really good archetype. But we were so happy to have made day 2. I think it was Gage's first day 2 ever. It was just so sick. We came in with zero expectations, and I was so happy that we were able to do it. So happy we were able to get Joshua Schmidt that big fucking dub because he bet that we would make it to day 2. We were like, "Thank you, Daddy. We did it for you. We literally did it for him." And unfortunate that it ended the way it did. And I feel bad. The number one people I feel bad for, though, is Yishan. Because they showed up day 2 at X2. Usually if you're X2-1, you can just not show up the next day because, like, you're probably not going to make it, even if you win out. But if you're X2, you probably do have a shot. So he showed up. The first round of the day was power matched high-low. So we were, like, 87th, and they were, like, 60th, which put them in, like, the top, like, quarter of X2s. They won their next round as well. Right? But but it didn't matter because after round 9, there were like 1,000 teams with draws. In fact, no X2s got top 16, which feels like it shouldn't happen. But I don't know. It is what it is. Ramen Fist, thank you for the sub. Yoror, thank you for the sub. Peeps, thanks for the sub. Majin Kana, thank you for the sub. Peck Vogel Sama, thank you for the sub. Aeon000, thank you for the 7. Questra Atoll, thank you for the 6. Descoto, thank you for the 10. Sin Sharon, thank you for the 2. Caesar, thank you for the gifty to Rebby. What the fuck? Guy Nathaniel, thank you for the 17. Fraser Quest, thank you for the 10. Stove, thank you for the 34. Motmos, thank you for the 2. Synchro Seaward, thank you for the 14. Jonesy042, thank you for the 7. Branded Go, thank you for the 16. Yuki Kazami, thank you for the 4. Mr. GameCube, thank you for the 100. XX Unplayer XX, thank you for the 14. Future Percy, thank you for the gifty. Dekai, thank you for the 26. Cerber, thank you for the 10. Frost PD, thank you for the 8. Leap to the Past, thank you for the 3. Ilpala, thank you for the 6. And we're caught up. But it was nice in general. I had a great time. Thank you to everyone who came by. Everyone was normal this weekend. We did not have one freak. Not a single fucking freak. There was one person who asked me to sign the same Chalice Lime Field Center 4 times, and I did every time. It was very. At some point, it was very funny. But it was really fantastic. I love hanging out with everyone. I apologize for the people I hung out with. I did get annoying. I could feel that I was being annoying there at the end. But I think that that's pretty in line with my personality. I don't think it's too shocking. But the last meal that we ate was Indian, and Alex was talking up this Indian place, but he was like, but be warned, it's like a MAGA place. And we get in, and they have Trump shit everywhere, and we're like, at an Indian place. All right, whatever, you know, I guess. And I got to tell you, it was mid. I think the problem is that I have been forever spoiled on Indian food. Not where I live now, but where I used to live. We were next to an Indian place that is so good that sometimes we will drive several hours to go visit there for lunch sometimes. I just I can't eat anywhere else. And it's like the paneer is never exactly right, and there's always like a lot of sugar in the curries I like, and I'm always like, and this one was like a sugary kind of curry, and not 7 hours, several hours, like 2. But I ate it all because I was very hungry, and then I just went into a coma, and I felt like shit going onto the plane. I went for a flight that was like 3 p.m. on Sunday, and I was like, if we make it to finals, I'll just rebook. You know, it's not going to happen, but who knows? So I go up, I flew Southwest, you know, big mistake, of course. I go up and I'm like, hey, I'm having a little trouble with the check-in kiosk. Can I talk to a person? And they brought a person out, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? You know, and I was like, I'm trying to get on this flight, and they were like, oh, that flight's tomorrow. And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, see how it says Monday on your ticket? And I said, yeah, it says Monday on the ticket because I fly in tonight, Sunday, then I change a lot of time zones and it becomes Monday. And they said, no, that takes off Monday. And I said, it takes off Monday to get in Tuesday? And they're like, yes. And I'm like, fuck, do you have anything today? What's going on? And they were like, yeah, we have one today. I'm like, cool. What's the flight number? They tell me the flight number and I go, that's the flight that's on my ticket. And they were like, oh, yeah, it's the same flight, just a different day. And I'm like, but it's today. It's the same flight on the same day. And they go, yeah. And I go, well, can you get me on it? And they go, yeah, it'll be $100. And I say, all right, but I'll be calling. So tomorrow I'm going to get on the phone and be like, I think you all rebooked me to the exact same flight. It's at this point you ask for a manager. Well, I got to the airport with like 40 minutes to spare and I didn't want to jeopardize it. Scammed. I don't think I was scammed. It was a real guy. He was behind the desk. And I think there's a possibility that it was what they said. But I was like, I got to call Southwest about this because this is insane. Not a scam, just an idiot. I think that's probably what it was. So, we'll see. It wasn't 100 either. It was some strange number. But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. I will say, I feel really bad. Because we were in as long as we were, there was a lot that I wanted to do that I just didn't get to do. And I'm sorry to the people that I said I would meet and then I didn't. DB Grinder, I wanted to have a money match with over the edibility of his sausage dinner. But I didn't even see him. We had planned to film something with Doug, but like I saw Doug for like an hour day one. And then he got out real early and was like, fuck it, I'm going to go explore Vegas. And I was like, well, I can't fault you. And then we just didn't meet up day 3 because we were playing. Didn't get to DDR. I was very upset that I didn't get to cube. I had planned on cubing Edison. We didn't get to do that. I didn't get to go to an arcade because unfortunately I was just too tired. And sorry. I wish I had done that, but it was what it was. Last thing I will say is that we saw the Hyperloop. We saw Elon Musk's Hyperloop. I didn't go on it, but it looked like fucking shit. I will talk just a little bit about the format itself. So as you all know, I'm #1 Kashtira hater. I said the deck was kind of mid, and then it won. Oh, big fucking surprise. I think simultaneously that the deck is sort of mid still, but I also feel like people like CapG that are like making fun of people who dislike the deck are also misguided. I think the deck is only mid, but also is one of the least fun decks to both play with and against in Yu-Gi-Oh's history. Obviously, this is a funny thing to show people and completely fake. And so is this. But the zone locking thing is so fucking unfun. I'm sorry. It's just like, I know that it's an axis of Yu-Gi-Oh that we don't interact with frequently. I understand that. To me, this is functionally identical to an FTK. Like, I don't know why we're pretending like this is... Even the boards that put up 15 negates don't feel as much of an FTK like as this. Like, lock all the back row, have Nibiru or lose. We can play through exactly one hand trap is... it sucks. It fucking sucks. And the only thing it really loses to is itself or the out, which you board games 2 or 3, or main deck and sometimes just don't find. And it frustrated me because I felt like in this match specifically, the Dom Couch both these players incredibly good. And in game 2, there was a significant amount of back and forth that allowed both players to kind of show off their skills. But in games 1 and 3, it really just felt like Dom was just being like, okay, if you have Nibiru, I fucking lose on the spot. If you don't, I fucking win on the spot. And I don't find that particularly interesting. I do want to kind of say, like, just because this format or this interaction, this game, like the Kashtira matches suck, doesn't necessarily mean that Tearlament didn't suck. I think that people who hate both are pretty justified. but I have a hard time seeing the game end up in a place like this and not just like reminiscing about, well, one format ago, we were both playing the entire time. And now, one player is staring at 9 X's on their board like, well, it's frustrating to say the least. That said, congrats to Dom and his team. They absolutely incredible players and of course deserved it. Also, Ryan Yu's team, also incredible players and would have deserved it as well. A lot of top talent. The one thing I want to push back on a little bit here is people who were like, oh, well, you all thought that, it wouldn't be a skilled format, but look at the talent in the top 16. There's so many named players. I want to say, I think that the specifics of a 3v3 kind of fuck with it. Because in a 3v3, you have to sack 2 out of 3 of the players in order to advance when there's a skill differential, instead of just sacking one of them, right? So I think 3v3s just naturally allow more competitive players to go farther. I would be interested in seeing the results of a 1v1 YCS under this list, and of course we'll see one momentarily. And I would be interested in seeing if Kashtira has what it takes past week 1. Despite what happened here, it is a very week 1 kind of deck and list. The fact that, Dom was the only one who was playing fucking Kashtira Ogre, I think shows that there's a lot of room for even Kashtira to develop. The fact that the second most winningest deck was Labyrinth, a deck that plays extremely targeted trap cards, means that has a lot of room to develop. I'd be interested in seeing where the format ends up after maybe a week or a month from now. I don't think Kashtira will be the best deck, but certainly it is very good. It is just kind of frustrating that the 2 top decks are like, yeah, so this one locks 9 zones and this one flips up D barrier. Anyway, Ninja Sweep. That's really all I have to say about Vegas.